Greetings, everyone. Welcome to my sketchbook. Well, let's see here. Sometime back, beginning of February, I drew out an idea in my sketchbook, in one of my previous sketchbooks, and the idea was to do kind of like a crossover or a matchup or mashup, I should say, of, well, Hello Kitty characters and K-pop demon hunters. And so the idea I had in my head was that Kuromi would be Rumi, Hello Kitty would be Derpy the tiger, and of course Cinema Roll would be, I think his name is Sussy. Anyway, so Sussy, who's a magpie. Um, so I'm going to kind of revisit that idea from this sketchbook and just kind of see where this might go. Now, the idea in my head came at that point when I found this, which is a Hello Kitty Pez dispenser of Kuromi, and seeing the color of the hood that Kuromi wears just kind of reminded me of the hair of Rumi. I went to one of my local dollar stores and I found this, which is, I guess, supposed to be a blind bag, but I don't really like blind bags very much because they're a nuisance to me. Basically, these things are all about getting you to buy really kind of strange things to collect them all, and you end up with doubles and all that kind of stuff. But luckily for me, I can kind of feel what this is. So anyway, we're going to open it up. I have a feeling I know what it is. Yeah, well, that's, believe it or not, that's kind of interesting, actually. So it's a key chain. I don't know if you would actually wear this as a keychain, because that is... Anyway, Zoe's doing all the cool things here and looking kind of... What a weird, fun collectible that is. Well, it was the last one anyway, so I didn't really have a choice. And look at that, you get these cool cards. Didn't know that the cards were in there. I just thought those were like deterrents from trying to figure out what the characters were. But anyway, so we're going to try to draw a picture of Kuromi as Rumi. And see where it goes. So I'm going to open up the inkwell beside me. And rather than have this drag on for a super long time, I have this dodecahedron, which is a 12-sided timer. And on each side, it actually gives the time, and it's, whatever side you put up, that's how much time you get. So it does like a flashing light countdown. I'm going to see if this will prevent me from drawing for 30 hours. So I'm going to pick, well, let's say 25 minutes here to start. And, well, the timer's going there. So I'm just going to grab a pen, have the inkwell open, and we're just going to start doodling and see if this goes somewhere. So dip the pen, and I'll post it on the end here, as I often like to do. So I hope your Monday is going well, and I hope that your week also goes well as well. So let's zoom into there roughly, and we'll lock it down. Okay, well, what are we going to do? I'm going to start off with just kind of like a rough shape, and the heads and the bodies of Hello Kitty characters are kind of off a little bit. Their bodies are usually a little bit smaller than their actual heads, and their legs, oops, that's about to drip. Their legs are usually little adorable things as well. Now this is probably going to be reasonably simple. But I want a microphone. Looks like an ice cream cone. That's funny. Okay. Now, that's about to drip again. Now, of course, has a cute little nose, fun little eyes, and unlike Hello Kitty, well, we're going to have a little mouth here as well. See a little bead of, I think the pen might need another cleaning. Well, that's sort of the idea. But let's see if we can figure out a different kind of pose, maybe. So we're just in the trying to figure out stage of what we want the character to be doing. Let's flip this around. I'm trying to think if I want like a very specific kind of action pose or something like that. Because in the original sort of concept that I did, just have a pose with, the sword, which seems interesting. What other things could we have Rumi doing? Or Kurumi? Cool kick, maybe? Gotta have the body tilted just a little bit. This arm would be brought in, and then this one would be a counter, almost like a counterweight for that. Might be looking off to this side too. These are rabbit ears. That seems kind of funny. Again, we're wearing the jacket. cool little shorts. Although those would be more boots, but you know, we got very short legs. That seems kind of funny. About 10 minutes in on sort of the ideas here that I'm just sort of playing around with. For some reason I kind of like that. That seems funny to me. I guess you could do kind of like an action sort of pose of sorts too. So let's say we'll do a rough idea of the head here. And the ears, which are very prominent, kind of like a jester, you know, like somebody, court jester. We'd have, let's say, a more of a close-up of the fist here, and the head would be set back a little bit. So technically that fist could be a lot larger. The other arm be back here a little ways. Now if this arm is forward, well, you can kind of counter that depending on what you got going on. You could have this leg that's slightly more prominent here. And then this leg would be back quite a bit further. Kind of like that. So this other fist would be kind of further behind. Of course, we're still wearing that coat. Well, I don't mind that pose. Maybe that could be a little bit bigger. I don't know if we need the sword. Although, you know, we do have whatever this is holding on to. Yeah, I don't know if I like that very much, honestly. That thing cost me $5 Canadian at the Dollarama. And if they had more, I would have tried to see if I could find, you know. But anyway, just rambling on. Okay. So this one is probably the pose that I would go with. Concept-wise, I probably like it the best. I mean, this kick thing or getting ready to do the kick, you know, I think that's kind of neat. And this is what I started off with, was just like a quick doodle, holding onto a microphone. But for some reason I finished the jester hood here, which would be, you know, you have this little skull up here. I can just kind of quickly, if that'll do it. Ooh, I gotta dip the pen here. Just like that. But I think this one here might be more the win, if that makes sense. Okay, well, I still have a bit more time in my 25-minute timer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this pen away and I'm going to go to the page in behind for this 10 minutes that I have left, and I get to move on to the next thing. So we're going to back this out again. I've set this pen aside, going to this, which I don't post. And I'm going to see if I can come up with something based on that last drawing. We're going to go with slightly larger than before, and this time we're going to take it slightly more serious. Now, I should tell you, I don't follow a script. Um, that's probably obvious with the way you might hear me talk, uh, but I really don't. I mostly have strange ideas and then make my way to my desk and jot it down as I'm thinking of it. So now this fist is going to look a little bit closer. Uh, Weirdly enough, whenever you get to see, let me zoom in on this a little bit, my melody and Kuromi, you don't always get to see kind of like proper hands. So, yeah, so like Hello Kitty mostly looks like she's wearing mittens, and Kuromi doesn't so much have that sort of thing going on. So I'm changing in my brain what I want this character to look like. Kind of doing my own take, if you will. Uh, and as I said, although I'm not perfectly familiar with the world of Hello Kitty, uh, Kuromi is, for some reason, kind of my favorite. Maybe it's about the attitude that I just think is funny. Kind of a prankster. I don't watch all the Hello Kitty stuff. I don't collect all the Hello Kitty things. I have bought the stuff and I've given away a lot of stuff, but so that's sort of just my own sort of take on some things, I guess. But um, let's see what happens here. Now, thought process. How do I want the eyes to be? Something about the big, dark eyes. Seems kind of spooky. I hadn't really thought about this part because I still want it to be very cartoony. And as I said, I want this to be kind of my take anyway, so I don't want it to be exactly like the character that you already know and love. Let's go with kind of like a slight Punisher styled eye, but not exactly. After all, Kuromi and Rumi are good characters who fight the bad demons and stuff, I guess. Not that the Punisher is a bad guy. He's more about finishing things more so than anything else. He doesn't like taking people to prison, That's not his thing. Now, little tiny tear ducts, which only those of you who are hanging out here will know that I'm doing this. We're going to do slight indentations that perhaps there are fingers inside mittens. And we're only going with like three fingers there, and then a thumb. I know it's silly, but this is kind of what I want. I don't think I like the idea of the time limit. How about that? I know I set that for myself, but what'll end up happening, I think, is I'm going to do a part 2 almost immediately, and then I'll stop, and then for tomorrow I will start another one, I think, because I kind of like the idea of this for some reason. Now, in the doodle that I had originally back in the early part of February, I had that these were kind of like piggy tails rather than one ponytail that goes up the front. I still wanted to keep some part of Kuromi in that. So I think I'm going to maintain that as well. I'm going to kind of curve this stuff in. And we're going to pretend that this is maybe bound a little bit inside the hood. And we'll keep the first part of the rabbit ear kind of there. And same with on this side. So the same kind of shape. Now, back here, because of where we're going to have the body, we're only going to see part of the elbow right about here, I think. Like that. And then the body's going to be kind of back and behind just a little bit here. So I'm just going to kind of very lightly pencil using my my pen without it really being a pencil, of course. We're going to have this leg slightly more prominent. And then this drifting back. kind of like a forced perspective thing that I have going on, maybe. All right. Now let's have some of this sort of completed back behind here. We're going to have this curve in behind just a little bit. And then it can trail off and get a lot smaller. This. Same kind of thing. We're going to have it sort of tuck in behind a little bit here first. And then it'll go back into the same sort of direction as the other one. I don't know. This jacket would be like that, maybe. Sleeves to hide some of the markings. And shorts. Now, for the last little bit here, I'm just kind of working on a little bit of the detail that I think might hide in the face. And then those eyes will be filled in much darker kind of after the fact. The eyelashes. Okay. So we're in our final minute now. The timer thing is letting me know that it's just about over. Now all I have to do is stand it back up to the start position. I think that is it. So let me kind of back this out a little bit. And that's kind of where I'm at with this doodle of Kuromi as Rumi from K-pop Demon Hunters. So, all right then, folks. As I said, I'm going to start part 2 here in a moment and see how far I can get with this. I may change some part of these. I guess we'll find out in part 2 here. So stick around. That's coming up in a moment, just to break it up. All right then, folks. Ciao for now.